everyone, and welcome back to the Corner of Remnant. I'm your host, Larissa, and I'm joined by co-host Emperial Dawn.
Hi.
And today we're discussing Chapter 2 of RWBY Volume 8, which was a very exciting episode. It was really, really good.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing so far. Both episodes have been slow yet
Good.
very attention-drawing at the same time.
Yeah.
Like the pace of what's going on is hectic, but
yeah,
the episodes don't feel rushed, which is very good.
Mm.
At least from the two we've seen so far, you know.
Yes. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. Well, I enjoyed Chapter 1, but it didn't feel like really a premiere to me, but I'm really happy with Chapter 2. And I watched them together with my mum on the weekend, on Sunday, and they were a really good watch together. So, yeah.
It's this whole thing with, like, this volume and even the previous one and maybe even the next one that this, like, you know, it wasn't meant to feel like a premiere of sorts because it's just meant to be a continuation of the previous
That's true.
volume, as is the whole kind of Atlas arc. It's all kind of been written in this kind of way to where it's all meant to be this one condensed kind of story.
Yeah. At least my voice.
Yeah. And to a degree, you know, same thing could be said about the Volume 7 premiere, especially what it was initially intended to be compared to what we got.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, but again, I've loved both episodes so far.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying to see what we come up with next.
Yeah. Yeah, so where it's going, it's continuing that very dark sort of vibe, and yeah, just what's going to happen next. Is Atlas going to fall?
It still has its levity.
Yeah,
you know, it still has its it's funnier moments for sure.
His wife's been sucked up the pipe. Oh my god, that was hilarious.
And the writers have been very vocal about that. You know, they don't want to just do dark and depressing, you know, 24/7. I'm sure we'll get to there.
Yeah,
but they still want to make the show enjoyable for themselves. You know, because I can imagine writing a story and only being only writing depressing stuff. You know, would probably get pretty depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have those moments. And I thought Miles did a great job heading up this episode with the writing. Because I thought it was definitely a very good one, and it was hyped up a lot. Obviously, for what happened towards the end.
Yes,
a lot of the crew were very excited for this episode. Haven't seen as much coming into the next one.
No,
but considering what we haven't seen from the teasers, so far,
we've seen almost everything.
Well, there's actually a fair amount we haven't. I feel like.
Okay.
We've got a lot of different teasers over the past few months.
Yeah, that's true.
Not just the two trailers.
No, I was just thinking the trailers.
That we'll likely get either at the absolute latest episode 4, I'd imagine, but a lot of which we'll get next episode, like Yang's eye reaction, Cinder.
Oh yeah,
Cinder looking out into the distance.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
Stuff like that. So
those
I can imagine,
little shots.
We'll get a little more stuff with the Hound and maybe
a
lot of theories about that, which I will get into.
Vicky, thank you for the resub. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And we'll also get into like I said, like theories people have and stuff, and also we might get into some more Cinder stuff with Emerald and Neo.
Boop,
hopefully.
Boop,
boop, boop, boop, boop. Boop. Hope you're doing well, Vicky. Thank you so much.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll go with next episode, but we are still here at episode 2, Refuge.
Yes.
For now.
So yeah, I guess we'll go into depth about the episode. So the first scene was the scene, of course, with Crow, Robin, Watts, and Jacques all in cells together. So that was an interesting, really cool scene. I liked the fact that all 4 of them were there together. Yeah.
Yeah. Which and that's another thing too. Obviously, we got the teaser of Nora again, seemingly jailbreaking or doing something there, which I imagine would tie into those 3 now that Watts has been taken aside.
Well, they might find them up in the military compound because that's where the team's heading to find Ironwood's
and that's another scene.
Console.
We also saw in the trailer, and also the Aesop's seemingly in that same location.
Vicky. I've done that before.
So yeah, it's very interesting too, and something I don't know if we talked about last episode. I remember when I was watching episode 1, and they're talking about the military compound.
Yes.
At first, I thought they were talking about, because they said at the base of the city.
Yeah.
So my logic was, again, obviously with the crater, this makes no sense. But in my mind, I thought, okay, so the base point under Atlas.
Yeah.
In Mantle is what I thought.
Yeah.
And then I thought like, okay, but then Maria mentioned how to get you up to Atlas, and at the time I was just like, oh, once we're done, how do we get everyone up to Atlas to do whatever? Again, I really didn't think of my thought through when I was watching episode 1.
It was actually, it's literally on the bottom of Atlas.
It's literally that bottom bit of Atlas, and again, where Ruby was looking up at when she was undercover. So again, me being dumb. And obviously we now realize that not all of those wires are wires. Some of them are
the little transport tube things, which is, never thought of that before.
Which makes tons of sense.
Lots of sense.
Getting a lot of deliveries between Mantle and Atlas, not always using aircraft.
Yeah, especially with all the dust mine, because we got the dust mine in the crater, so it makes sense for them to have tubes from the crater up to Atlas to bury all the dust and everything that they've mined up there.
Yeah, so it's interesting that that the crater itself is in itself a massive dust mine.
Yeah.
As well, which is interesting because I'm curious now if that's one of the reasons why Atlas is the way it was, maybe as a way to get to those resources, or if it was just a coincidence, or what? It'd be an interesting idea to think that like, hey, we moved this big chunk of Earth out of the way so we can get to the dust, and then we realized it could be a city or something like that, or.
I think it might have been sort of two thoughts. One, just to get Atlas away from the Grim, because of the Grim always been a present threat. So one way to get away from the Grim would to be go up in the air. And I guess secondly, that then opens up the opportunity to be able to get to more dust under the city where you may not have been able to get to it more before because of the city being above.
I guess look at it in a real world sense. You know, I'll be surprised if there weren't hundreds of cities in the world that have major mining deposits underneath them, but you can't mine there because there's a city there.
Yeah.
So it could just be as simple as it was you know, two birds with one stone here.
Yes.
You know, we've built Atlas not realizing what we have under us, or at least the degree of what we have under us. So they lift it up in the air. To accomplish both. Yeah.
And it was Oz's idea originally, as I would say, to use the Star for Creation, the lift Atlas up. So maybe we'll find some more information about how that decision was made. Maybe. Especially now that Oz is back.
I'm sure we'll get it. But I love that first scene a lot because I love similar to the first episode, I think they're being very smart with their time management and their subtlety and like the transitions and stuff. Like obviously having Crow's internal monologue he's dealing with himself.
Yep.
Through Robin.
Yep.
Who, you know, and also plays out to the fact that a lot of people don't like Robin. A lot of people.
I like Robin. I think she's great.
Too, but I know there's a fair portion of the community that thinks you know, she's dumb, she's a bitch, or whatever. So to have her seemingly attack Crow plays into that as well.
Yeah.
Until you realize she's obviously talking to Jacques.
Yes.
And obviously we saw a lot of similarities between Jacques and original and like Volume 1 Weiss.
Yeah.
This scene, like,
I'm a victim.
certain mannerisms as well, just the way they react. Too. And again, I'm always devil's advocate here. You know, I don't think Jacques is a good person here, but I also don't think he's necessarily the one to blame.
Yeah.
In the situation, and
he was just used. And
again, it's one of those situations where the
though he allowed himself to be used. It's not like used without his choice. He chose to join up with Watts, and so I didn't turn my captions on.
Right now, I think it falls down to the enemy of my enemy is my friend here.
Yeah,
and you know, even Jacques isn't for Watts. You know, Jacques is against Watts as much as everyone else is.
Yeah,
because as while he had his own evil agendas, Jacques did. You know, Atlas being destroyed does nothing for him.
No, that's it. He wanted to be a councilman on Atlas so he could then oppose what I was doing. So Watts just used that.
Which, looking at it now, doesn't make Jacques seem as much of a bad guy looking at what Ironwood's doing now, does it?
Yeah, no. He's still not a good guy, but in comparison.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Again, all perspective, you know, there's always a good perspective no matter how you look at something.
Yeah.
But have to take obviously
Yeah.
the right, look at what's important in each situation. But yeah, I love like the like I said, the internal monologue of Crow here through Robin. He because he does blame himself.
Of course he does. Yeah.
He realized what he did is wrong. I think Clover in hindsight realized what he did was wrong.
Yes.
And then he wanted to gain from anything was Tyrion. That's exactly what he wanted. So
again, it was Watch used Jarks. Tyrion really used Crow in that situation as well to get the advantage. Yeah, but I really liked again showing their emotions without. Like, Crow hardly said anything. Well, he didn't say anything right to the end of the scene. But you could really sort of see what he was feeling and think, especially with what Robin was saying. But I just thought that was emanated really well with... And
that's what I mean about how I think they're being very efficient this volume so far. With not wasting time. They're
really showing more than telling, like showing us them going through this sort of like
just using
internal turmoil.
Flash forwards last episode to the Robin's monologue for Crow here.
Yeah.
Just accomplishing multiple things with one.
Yeah.
Just making a great use of time.
Yeah.
Even though that's something they have a lot of this volume.
Yeah.
Doing the episodes.
Yes.
God, this crazy thing. This volume already has still got another 12 episodes on it.
Yeah. Yep. And it just started.
It's hard to think about where this volume's going, but no, that was it. I will say the prisons was interesting. I wasn't expecting just these hard cubes.
They're more like holding cells.
That's probably true.
Because they don't have like toilet or anything like that, or a bed. Really, it's just that bench in the middle. So they're like a holding cell.
Yeah, well, that makes sense considering what the Lieutenant of Ironwood mentioned last episode about their
holding cell B or something, wasn't it? I can't remember. Now.
I think she might have said holding cell. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
But obviously, Winter was like, Crow, Robin, etc.
Yep.
So that makes sense, and that would make sense if then they move to a more secure place for when Nora possibly shows up again.
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly that might not happen, but again, just going off what I'm assuming. And obviously, Watts being taken away probably to be questioned by Ironwood, seeing how much more Watts can be useful.
Yes.
Which again makes sense why he's been left alive this long, considering who Ironwood has killed otherwise.
Yeah, exactly.
But Watts can still be useful.
Information.
So we'll see where that goes. But of course, I'm not exactly vibing with Crow at the moment. For Robin to outright defend him, and him to say that doesn't exactly paint Crow in the best light. And
well, he's angry and he's grieving, so of course he wants to.
It's completely justified, but I don't think Robin and Jacques are going to want to go along. Well, Jacques might, but I don't think Robin is going to. I don't think Robin wants Ironwood dead.
No, probably not.
Like Ironwood,
but I think she will support Crow to a point. So
but I don't know if that far. Then that's what I'm thinking, and I feel like I mentioned it back last volume.
Yeah,
I think Crow blaming Ironwood is just deflecting off himself.
Yeah, that's true. And even though Ironwood was to blame in part, he's not the whole to blame. This whole situation, Salem hasn't helped either, and of course Tyrion. So again,
it's a whole chess game. It's all just
hopefully. Yeah. If Ruby and the gang find them and break them out, they might be able to convince Crow to help them against Salem, and then Ironwood can just be a later thing. Don't know.
I still assume in the end, Ironwood will die doing the right thing.
Oh yeah.
Because he's still not, again, as much as he is against our heroes, we're still trying to accomplish the same goal. So I can very easily see Ironwood sacrificing himself in a redemptive fashion to do the right thing in the end. But we'll have to see. Still probably against our heroes most of the time. I don't doubt.
Yeah. Then we had, I was trying to think the next scene after, I think it was Joanna. Yeah, it was Joanna taking over the news broadcast, which I thought was funny. Yeah. I thought, of course, in the middle of this, like, end of days, as Joanna calls it, the news are still reporting, obviously from Atlas, I would say. But, yeah, that was funny. I like that scene. with Joan taking over, and that of course then led into the scene with John Yang and Oscar and Ren breaking into the pharmacy and getting the bikes.
Yes, which was one of the teaser trailers.
Yes.
We got around RTX.
Yeah, and John also got the shield thing, which we've seen teased previously as well.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so that was cool. I love that bike scene. I love the scene with Yang, you know, doing a flip and everything, and Oscar's like, oh, the back.
Getting all the hair in his mouth.
So funny. I love that scene. This episode had some really nice little moments like that.
It definitely had a lot of cool...
but it didn't take away from the overall feel of the episode. It just had a couple of little moments in there which made you giggle.
Yeah, which I think is also was by design to make the end of it more impactful, to make that end scene feel more just like so unlike anything we've seen before.
Yeah, definitely.
But of course we then run into a little bit of trouble with obviously some of the locals not being too thrilled about it, and
yes.
and again I don't blame this woman for her thoughts, because again Ironwood did promise them go to Atlas, and she's fair to have her opinion. I wouldn't want to go to the slums either.
Yeah.
And I thought Yang handled it appropriately. I don't think she was too harsh or anything.
No.
I thought this woman later thought she was, but everyone's gonna have their opinions, of course. You know, being ripped out and moved away from your home when you're not even sure what the threat is completely valid.
And also, like, the in-ground racism against the faunus is something that's been there for hundreds of years, as we know. So it's just, there are going to be people who like that, who do have those views, even in current IRL times as well.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, so I think it was good actually showing again that racism against the faunus. But I thought Yang handled it really well.
And I like that it wasn't overdone. It wasn't too brutal. You know, it was that kind of.
It made sense.
It's that very much the idea. Oh, I'm not a racist, but you know, it's that very subtle kind of blindness that, again, like you said, a lot of our world still has to this day. You know?
And I just love the daughters like, we'll go get our things then. And afterwards, when you can hear them talking, it's like, mother, making a scene.
I love that. Voice acting for those two characters, I really, really like. I'll have to go back and look at the actors in question. But before we move on to what Ozpin is the best at, before we move into that,
my drink bottle's leaking. I got water everywhere.
I got condensation everywhere because I keep all mine in the fridge. So since I take them out,
it went down my sleeve. No.
Something that RWBY have been doing since Volume 6 in particular, because I notice it every time they do it and I love it.
Yeah.
Whenever they want to have multiple characters make a speech, they'll just have one character do it and a bunch of characters in the background go to speak but then stop themselves.
Yeah.
Like, again, in Volume 6, Episode 2 in particular, were one of my favourite episodes, when the Oscar Ozpin stuff's just about to be revealed.
Yeah.
And, like, every time Blake or Yang or Weiss goes to make a statement, you'll see in the background the other two going to, like, hand gesturing, going to say it and stopping themselves. Like, they were going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
And John was going to do the same thing in this scene.
Yeah.
Where he was going to probably even more calmly talk to the woman about everything, but Yang obviously steps in and makes her point clear.
Yeah.
That, this is the best we got. Stay here and rot, or just come with us, trust us, it'll be the right thing.
Exactly. Atlas isn't coming for you anymore, so your best bet is to come with us.
And I love too, they also questioned again, like Oscar questioning again, is this it? It's like, no, this is just stragglers from last night.
Yeah. I love with the Grim. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that little touch as well.
Because this is all sort of like, this is the next day after the everything just happened. So yeah.
Well, as we saw, most of that happened basically in the morning. Most of that happened very early, because obviously when the sun rose, Crow and Clover had just finished.
Yeah.
With Tyrion. So yeah, this is probably only a few hours later.
Yeah.
Because that seemed to happen very late into the night.
This scene's around mid-morning or so. Yeah.
That dinner went very long.
Yeah.
Or the fighting just went long, probably more sense. But then of course we have what Ozpin does best.
Yep.
What Shannon McCormick is just great at, and it really makes me want to go and listen to the Fairy Tales audiobook, which he did, which I've meaning to get around to listening to that at some point.
Yeah.
Ozpin obviously comes in, makes his speech. And I love Oscar's just like his reactions to all this. Especially because he's like, I'm not mad that you left, I'm mad that you came back, because I finally felt like I was being me.
Yeah, being part of a team. and
Yeah,
making a difference and being himself, being who he wants himself to be. But now that Osmond's back, it brings back the thing that he's going to eventually, him and Osmond are going to merge into one. And he doesn't want that, and it sounds Osmond doesn't want that either. But it's just the inevitable. The souls are on the same path towards that end goal.
Yeah, so I'm really curious how that situation, because it feels like that's gonna happen
soon.
This volume or the next. Like I feel like that's gonna happen quite soon. That they're gonna properly merge. You know, is Salem gonna be around when that happens? You know, how's that gonna happen? You know, will Oscar's character change drastically in terms of like a writing sense? You know, like how much is actually gonna change compared to our rest of our characters, or is it just gonna be a smooth transition? I'm really interested to see that. And this is also in this scene, you see, I think one of 3 examples in this episode where you see something in the background that you probably didn't notice the first time.
Yeah.
Multiple times throughout this episode, you see a black figure. And
I noticed him a couple times, but I didn't see him all the times he was showing.
I noticed him on the bridge because, like,
I saw him on the bridge too with the bikes.
We've seen that teaser before.
Yeah.
So that was something that stood out as different. In particular, and the other one that off the top of my head that I didn't notice was there was a panning shot of Oscar on the bike, and it just follows.
Hey, Nightwalker.
And it follows Oscar's front view, and you see it on the top of a tower in the background. And I didn't notice it the first time.
No.
I watched it, and I think there's a third instance, but I don't remember what the third instance.
Yeah, very likely he's been waiting for the moment when.
And you know, the hound is just waiting for the right opportunity to strike.
And I also like the little shot on the toy. There's a toy on the ground as well. So I like that's been trodden on. I really like that. It just reminded me very much from back in Volume 6 when we had the Osmond Salem backstory and the kid's toy that was laying there when the place was destroyed. Yeah, so, it's
a really great use of symbolism for sure. And showing Oscar's like losing his childhood.
It does. Yeah,
he's
it's
only
great.
Like a 14, 15-year-old farmhand at this point.
Yeah,
so he's a kid, and just this idea that he's kind of, while he's becoming the person he wants to be, he's becoming it so fast and losing it, and then is only going to lose that when Oscar finally merges with him. So it is this actually when you do break it down, because I'm doing it just now.
He's in a horrible situation where he's going to lose himself in a way. Not really die, but it's going to be an end finale for him. And he won't be himself anymore once that merge happens.
Yeah, like I'm very curious if we're going to get to a point where maybe how we can maybe get out of that, because it feels like we're building it up so much that almost like, is it going to happen? Like, is something going to happen to where it doesn't happen?
To stop the merge, The only thing I think that could possibly stop it will be if they summon the gods.
Yeah,
but
which still not even convinced will necessarily happen.
No, we still need the 2 other relics as well. All 4 actually.
I feel like that's almost like a threat on the show. I don't know if we'll ever see that or not.
Yeah, I think right at the end of the series we're going to get something along that lines. The other thing I liked in the scene too. Was when Oz and Oscar were talking about working together, not just them, not just the group, the team, but everyone. Because at the end of the day, the whole thing with the gods coming back is to show that humanity can work together. And if they can't do that and the gods get summoned, then they are pretty much doomed. So
again, you say that I can so imagine the end of the series being this idea of like, they have all the relics, like Salem's defeated or whatever, or prisoned or whatever. They have all the relics there. And I would just love this idea of Osmond going, no. Humanity's united. We don't need the gods. We don't need
that could happen too. Yeah.
We united ourselves. We have made ourselves whole once again. We don't need magic. We don't need these beings anymore. We don't need gods. I'm a religious person.
Yeah.
We don't need gods. We don't need this. We are ourselves, and we don't see the gods return. I personally would like that.
That could happen. Yeah, absolutely.
But with RWBY, typically the idea is, I don't like the idea. They do the idea. It's like, oh, that was better than I thought. So I'm sure I'll be fine with whatever they end up doing.
That's possibly Nightwalker. I don't know, but I do like that idea more than Oscar disappearing and Oz being in charge.
I do imagine that when they do merge, it'll still be more Oscar than Osborn. It'll still be...
They'll just be more one person than 2 separate souls in the one body. It'll be more Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like you
Interesting
said,
how it
like
works.
You'll gain control of my longest memories and my
Yep. Magic.
little magic I have left.
Yep.
Um, but I'm curious. I mean, what I wonder if, like, imagine if Ozpin uses the last of his magic, and because of that they don't merge or something, like because like there's
Maybe.
nothing left to combine or whatever. Especially if like magic is related to the soul or whatever. Like literally you're using the loss of your soul and they can't merge. I'm not sure. It'll be very interesting to see, for sure. After that we cut back to the other team. At the snowshoe industries, I believe, or snowshoe shipping.
Yes,
I believe it's correct.
Yes, snowshoe shipping. Yeah, I love that snowshoe.
We also get also through some concept art I saw on Twitter just the other day. We get like a better idea of like, and also when we go back to the other team, we get this idea of like how the crater is like walled off.
Yeah.
From the rest of Mantle, and there are all these like mining and buildings and stuff on the outside of the wall, so in the crater, before it slopes down into
the actual crater. Yeah,
there's a bunch of like sloped buildings up against the wall.
Yep, there was some concept art posted today. Actually, I shared it on Twitter. Yeah, best moment ever. It was great.
It is cool, definitely, to see also more of the Happy Huntresses for sure. Because obviously you look back at Volume 7 and you think, oh, these are just some throwaway characters for the sake of the show and stuff.
It's nice getting more of them.
I like looking at it now because in hindsight, it makes me feel more not that those were throwaway characters, more than just okay, here are these seeds.
Yeah.
Now we're actually using them. It was more just like because again. Like some people will have the reaction of, oh, why were they even in Volume 7 for not that it weren't being used? And it's like, okay, that's fair, but now they're being used now.
Yeah, that
feels more natural and more like just like that flows better than if they were just introduced now and like, oh, here are these new characters. These are really important. It's like, well, we know, like just knowing of them, makes them feel better. It's like the whole Raven thing. If we didn't see Raven in Volume 2, her showing up in Volume 4 wouldn't mean shit.
Yeah, I guess. It just shows, like, they're not just Robin's team or Robin's guards or anything like that. They're huntresses who actual fully fledged huntresses, and they're trying to help Mantle and do what Robin would have wanted them to do without having her there. And I think that's really important. And they're really important characters, and I love seeing more of them and getting to know more about them as well. And May's voice actor did post on Twitter before the season started that she was really excited because she got to do a lot more lines. Yeah, Kate
wouldn't shut the fuck up about.
No, she wouldn't.
Happy Huntresses and stuff, and to all of them too.
Yeah,
like, there was a lot of hype about the whole Happy Huntresses going into this volume, and I couldn't understand why. It didn't make sense to me from what we got last volume, but to see again, it makes sense. Someone of invisibility semblance when you need to sneak around. Yeah, makes sense to have around.
Yep.
Or like Fiona being like this Jean type, like this tactician, this kind of more or less handling everything, but also being like the pseudo leader because she's kind of like Robin's star pupil.
Yeah.
In a sense, but then you have Joanna, who's this more again like the powerhouse and stuff, like the actual kind of huntress.
They're all very different, and I love their semblances. Though we haven't found out what Joanna's semblance is.
She might have a semblance. We don't know.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming she does, but but I really like them, and I'm glad we get to see more of them, and they're helping the team as well with their goals. So I really like that, and I'm excited for what more we get of May.
And it does really add to this idea because you always think that when you go to these new kingdoms, it's like, why are we the only ones actually helping? Shouldn't there be other huntsmen? And granted, they covered that in Mistral, okayly.
Yeah, but it's actually really great seeing other huntresses, huntsmen.
Now that we're in Atlas, we get to see these other huntsmen. And we hear about like Crimson, like we hear about these other huntsmen that are out there and stuff. And again, it just adds so much.
Yeah, the Happy Huntresses aren't a headless chicken. Exactly. Yeah.
But Nightwalker mentioned, obviously we see the tubes that go up to Atlas. Why can't we use that as some sort of evacuation thing? I mean, I hadn't thought of that until just then. So kudos to you. I hadn't
really thought of it. I guess
it would just take. There's so many people. I just think that
I don't think they will be able to do with everyone.
And also at this point, Atlas doesn't want people going to Mantle.
No.
So even if they did that, they'd get caught and just thrown off the island.
Yeah, I don't think it's really a viable option.
Is, Weiss could probably get away there because she's a sneak. She'd probably be able to get away being an Atlas. But the others might need to use May's help with visibility if she wants to actually get around. And so, especially because they're all wanted criminal. Well, I mean, Weiss is even a wanted criminal, actually. So
they all are, actually.
See how that works. But again, I like that idea of like why May's along with us, because resemblance is definitely a really that makes all the sense in the world.
And they want to help them with their goal, and I think, like May said, that Robin really liked the idea of
getting the world.
Getting the world back into communication, telling them what's going on, and being able to talk with other kingdoms again. She saw that as very exciting, and and May's like, well, Robin, shut up about it.
Because we're going to get Atlas this way, we might actually get a better idea. We could just go to the military base and that might be it, but we might see actually some of Atlas. We might
end up going back to the academy, and then we might see Team Funky. But I think at this stage, they're all the students at Atlas will be most likely in the academy. Unless we go back to the academy,
I'll admit that I was a little surprised we didn't see at least Funky in the background. Of Lost Volume fighting. But again, it could be just a thing with Atlas policies. Students don't go out and fight. Like they do in, say, Vale. Because again, Atlas has a military for that. So the students are more designed, hey, you lock up, you stay safe until you've been here for 4 years, then you can go out and do whatever you want. They might be a lot more strict about that, which would make all the sense in the world. They leave, because again, Atlas doesn't leave protecting to the Huntsmen, it leaves it to the kingdom, which again also makes sense why we've only seen the Happy Huntresses, why we've only seen Crimson and his team, or heard of, because again, there aren't that many Huntsmen in Atlas, because
they're all part of the military, and that's like back in Volume 3, why so like the academy and the military are basically together like one thing.
Imagine being a wandering huntsman.
Like
at Atlas, the Green are all taken care of by the military. The crimes are taken care of by the military. Like there'll be no jobs in Atlas.
No, really not. I guess that's how they get into the military.
But that's why you either join the military or you go to another kingdom. As a rogue huntsman,
or you help with Mantle, I suppose.
Huntsman, there would be nothing to work in Atlas, I imagine. So that definitely makes sense.
What's going to happen to Farm Boy? We'll get into discussing that in a moment. Mice is going to look at the other end of the tube. She's going to be pissed, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. That's hilarious.
I also like Nora and Blake kind of reflecting on like a little bit of like the other teams and stuff. Nora obviously being a bit more mad about the situation.
She's missing Ren and missing being part of the team and what they're going through.
I've seen so many memes or images of like them all looking at their skulls and seeing the other team members and stuff, and seeing like Aura being gone and how they'd react to that. So I would love if that shows up, but again, I'm not gonna it's one of those things where I'm not gonna be mad if I don't say that. Just because that's a great idea, but that's just what the fandoms come up with and stuff. But it's still a cool idea.
I also like RWBY and Penny's little chat as well, because this Penny hasn't had a lot of time to take this all in. This has really just happened over a matter of a few hours, so she's still trying to figure out everything. But RWBY does have the good point that in becoming the Winter Maiden, she has saved Atlas, because if Cinder had gotten the powers and then gotten the relic, that would have just been all
two things in particular I wanted to mention. One, I forgot to mention last week. Especially when we first meet up with Ruby and Oscar when they're in the ship flying back to the restaurant. Last episode, when Ruby is talking to Oscar, there was something I immediately noticed about Ruby's voice. And Ruby's voice has been a hot thing in contention since Volume 2. Apparently, I've never noticed Ruby's voice like being different ever. It's Lindsay. I listen to Achievement Hunter every day. It's just Lindsay.
It is,
I did notice that there are a few times, like that moment I mentioned then, and a moment when Ruby is talking to Penny, where Ruby her voice does sound deeper and a bit more mature. And it's something that I've really enjoyed hearing, because it's very noticeable now whenever I hear it. Whenever she needs to be serious and stuff, her voice does deepen. I don't know if that's intentional or not from Lindsay. Or the voice director.
I think in a way intentional, but I think because like RWBY is very bubbly and happy, and that's just her personality. That's how she is. But when there's things are serious and she really like the mood's down, that's when she does become have a more serious, mature sort of to her. So I think that's sort of like her bubbly personality is sort of covering that more serious, mature part of her, especially like considering all this shit she's gone through. All of them have gone through, but like RWBY's the one that really hides it the most out of all of them. And we saw it back like in volume 4 when Oscar was having that chat with RWBY in the training room. That
Volume 5.
Volume 5, sorry. Volume 5. Yeah, that's right, Volume 5. Where she is scared, she is worried of what's going on. She just hides it all under this very bubbly, happy personality. But there are moments where you do get a peek at the more mature, serious side of her, and we're seeing it a bit more recently because of what's going on. But we did see that with her and Penny, and I love that too.
Yeah, you mentioned serious, and that's actually a good point. That it's not a matter of it's definitely, like you said, serious and mature, because it's not like when she's angry or anything, because because and that's what I really like, because you would think it'd be all the above, but like when she's talking to Yang in the restaurant, or she's talking to Ironwood on the phone, her voice still sounds normal, just with an angry undertone to it. But it's not, doesn't sound deeper, it doesn't sound the more mature. But when something is serious, when she needs to talk to Oscar who's down, when she's talking to Penny who's down, she gets this more like I said, serious and mature voice. And I like it's used then, and not when she's angry. When she's angry,
absolutely.
Because I think it would undersell the development of that if it was when she's angry. But it's only, like I said, when mature and serious. And I wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
The other point I wanted to mention with this, and I've forgotten exactly what I was going to mention here, but I do definitely love RWBY and Penny's like kind of development. Oh yeah. So
her charge voice, her leadership voice.
what I was going to say is that one of my favorite things I've seen throughout the RWBY fandom this week. I mean, I've seen a lot of things, obviously, all the before and after RWBY edits and some crack theories and stuff going around, like as we discussed a lot of last week.
Yep.
One of my favorite ones, I think, was from Arnold's Murder Bird's Discord. I can't remember the exact person who said it, but this idea that after, let's say Alice falls, and let's say that the staff can't be used to like, fix that.
Yep.
Can't bring all those people back or whatever. The idea of using the staff creation to turn Penny into a real person.
Oh yeah.
If in theory she gets hacked by Watts or whatever, which again isn't a theory I've subscribed to, but if it happens,
I
love this idea of RWBY to save Penny from destroying everything, because there's a lot of symbolism that does imply that Penny is going to turn for some reason.
That was even in the intro too, because you can see Watts and Pietro sort of like working their own machines separately.
Obviously, when you see that big shot of everyone fighting, Penny's in the middle.
Yeah,
she's not on either side; she's in the middle of everyone. And then you obviously see at the very end Penny's like line art go red.
Yeah.
So this idea that she would be hacked, say by Watts, for example. And to fix that, RWBY would use the staff to turn Penny into a real person, which ties into the Pinocchio thing really well.
Yeah, I really like it too.
And then it would save her from turning, would save her from...
But then she might swim into the whale.
She's more liable to losing and dying.
Fly into the whale, I should say.
But that would, I don't want to be rude to people who love Clover. I don't get it, but again... to each their own. And I get why certain people definitely love Clover, and stuff. But like this idea that the staff creation will be used to resurrect Clover.
Oh, I haven't seen that one, but I don't think
it just seems a little.
I don't think it will be able to resurrect the dead for a couple of reasons. One, the gods were very much about the balance of life.
That's a great point.
Yeah, so really balance of life, life and death. I don't think the staff of creation will blur those lines so much. So that's I could be wrong, but to me, I don't think it would be able to do that.
Like how many times in Volume 6?
Yeah, that's true. No, what would it do for her? Yeah.
Like how many times in Volume 6 were we like, or even Volume 7, before Pietro mentioned it, how long did we think the staff of creation was probably what created Penny's soul?
Yeah, well, yeah, we
For the
did.
longest
We all
time,
thought,
for
yeah.
the longest time, we thought that's what created Penny was stuff creation.
But no,
So-
it was Pietro. They didn't even use the staff creation at all with Penny. So it's amazing what they were able to do and to make without use of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like if Penny becomes a lot like weaker in a sense when she becomes human, because obviously she had far less control of everything. She have to learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
But-
Interesting. I think her weapons would still work in a way. But yeah, as for the artificial intelligence processing, well, she'll be a real person, so she won't have access to that anymore.
But again, the staff could also like, hey, keep her exactly as she is in every way, just make her not hackable by being, like
Maybe.
like that.
I do like the theory, so we'll be interested to see what happens.
Okay, how would you feel if they did that,
Yeah.
but they made her a faunus instead?
I won't have anything against that.
That's something like I'm curious if they'd be like I'm just curious like we don't have to make her human necessarily. We can make her a faunus. I don't know what.
Well, then the night vision, I guess she'll keep that in a way.
Not all. Depends on faunus. Not all faunus have that. Depends.
No,
on
not all
faunus
faunus. No.
But I'm just thinking to myself, like, I guess you could technically do that. I'm really intrigued now. Like, I'm just curious if there would be if they would have a reason to do that. Like, maybe it would make faunus relations better in Atlas if the protector was a faunus or something like that, or maybe Penny herself wants to be a faunus. Like, I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah.
What would she be? This might be a video for another time. Getting into that. But I love to like obviously another nuts and bolts hug, and we know a third one is on its way from the teaser trailer and stuff. So yay, lots of hugging. I love that.
Yes, I love all the nuts and bolts.
Bias, nuts and bolts fan. Sorry, Bumblebee. I'm being biased. I apologize. But I love to, and again, super biased here. Was it just me, or was Nora looking at those two? When it cuts back and Nora's just got her hands like this looking... I don't know, that could be right. Maybe she's just relaxing.
I think it could have possibly been... Also, I think they were happy just found it. But Nora could be like, oh, look at the two of them. Sort of thing. Nora can be very motherly at times as well. So, yeah.
Then we have... Weiss... Yeah.
I love the fact how Weiss thought of this idea, but she probably didn't think of the fact of, actually going in the tubes, and I just thought it was maybe something they could use. And then, of course, she ends up being the first one through.
It's interesting because I remember mentioning last week that I thought it might be something to do with Klein or Willow or Whitley or something like that. So this definitely, I wasn't expecting this, but it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
We're
doing some crazy body checks with Watson. I would think he would hack the maiden doors with science. That's the same. To hack the girl to do it. Well,
I don't think it's that simple. I think you're confusing science for magic here, and that's probably a whole thing.
Well, it's that too. Does add a spanner in the works with the magic.
Could you open the door science-wise or brute force? Sure. The portal probably wouldn't be there though.
No, that's true.
It'd just be a doorway. It's the magic. It's the maiden power that actually opens.
Then again, they might not need a hack Penny to be able to do it. If Penny thinks that getting the staff creation is going to help everything and help everyone, she probably
might
will.
go in herself and try to do what
she did.
Right.
Say that why don't I just take the staff to Salem? So you never know, that might happen.
But I only think that would happen if, say, for example, like RWBY got kidnapped or the teams got hurt or disbanded or something like that. I think
she saw it's the last final option.
She'd have to be the last person by herself to make a choice, and I think that's the choice she should go with.
Yeah,
but it has to get. I mean, Atlas has been getting into like magic and aura and that kind of stuff for sure. So maybe, but that might have been after Watts' time. Watts might not necessarily be.
Yeah. Don't know. I don't think he'll be able to hack the doors. I don't think that will be a possibility. But hacking Penny is always a possibility.
Yeah, I like where your head's at though, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. But yes, Weiss gets yeeted
up the tube. It's hilarious. I'm looking forward to seeing the aftermath of that.
Yes. No, I'll give a lot of props for Kara this whole scene, because I thought Weiss's voice sounded particularly nice in this scene.
It did.
But that scream in particular was like,
it was Weiss back in her element,
Yes, being insulted by Blake.
Yes, that was hilarious.
Yeah. And again, and also like May showing off a semblance again, because we never seen her use a semblance on herself. We've only seen her use like the bubble.
Yeah. So, talking of May, the arts on the stream.
Oh. Nice. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see
Yeah.
where we go with that.
Moving along, I think, to the creator. And
Yes, with them
Fiona and
wacky-
Johanna. I love Fiona so much. She's so adorable. She's so cute, and I just love her.
I was discussing with Dan on Twitter how she could have been very similar to Velvet. I thought they've gone a slightly different direction of her, and I quite like how they've gone with her. Like she is this kind of like cutesy but still a little rude and like still like swear and stuff.
Yeah,
and like very comical kind of way. But she still very much just tries to be herself whenever she can be. I like that. Also, like super subtle. I just love them using more dust in the show. So like Joanna grabbing the dust, fueling the furnace,
putting in the furnace, and
it's just a simple, but like cool. Like it's like yay, a little more dust.
Yep.
Show, which is nice.
And Johanna mentioned as well about the raiding the Schnee Dust Company stores for dust to be able to keep everyone warm, and that not everyone wasn't getting arrested during the apocalypse. She was calling it. So I like that, and the idea that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get people shelter and warm, and that's the plan at the moment to try and survive what's happening.
Yeah, and also teams are still a bit at odds. You know, we didn't mention like Ren and John. Obviously Ren being a bit like perturbed and stuff, and not wanting to just be this kind of like this Grimfield, which is kind of feel like she's become.
Yeah.
John helping him too, because you saw when like Yang made the suggestion, Ren kind of rolled his eyes a bit. It's like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Like because that's how and that'd be cool if that ties into again, because like both their semblances have been used in tandem so much recently. Yeah,
they have been. Yeah.
So curious to see, especially Jean, if he uses his semblance on other people more than just Ren, see how that works. But obviously again, like Fiona making a little jab at the teamwork and stuff, and obviously Yang and
that was a bit of a sore spot.
Ren just walks off, and I love that because again, showing not telling kind of thing. Like he just walks off.
He's not cool with it. He has a lot going on. A lot of turmoil going on, and again, they're showing it more without him saying anything, just showing in his expression and his body language, and that you can tell something's wrong with him, even though he hasn't said anything as much. So even when he said to John, when John was like, give him a bit of a pep talk, almost at the crater and everything, and Red's like, I don't need a pep talk right now. I need to focus. I need to concentrate.
Well, I especially feel bad for John, especially as Nightwalker.
Yeah.
And also, again, it was because I'm watching a few reactions at the moment, and you go back. One I watched recently was a 1 to volume 6, and you go back and you see how Jean and Ren and Nora were the ones that kind of got Jean finally out of his purish slump.
Yes.
With those two finally got over it, and now see them against each other. John being all alone, and again, John's story throughout the whole show has definitely been an interesting one. It's definitely slowed down a lot from the earlier days. So I'm curious what John's endgame in the show will be.
I like how he's really in his element with helping people. Like earlier in the scene, with he did a little like fist bump thing with the kid, and
trying to keep everyone's spirits up. Like hey, we'll go to the crater, grim free and stuff.
Trying to. He really is in his element helping people, and I love seeing him doing that, as well as taking the lead when necessary as well.
Yeah, we saw that last volume really well when in a similar situation with Jean, Ren, and Vine.
Yeah.
We saw that.
Yeah, so I really like that. I really love with John, but he does feel a bit lost at the moment with his team separated and everyone at heads, and
Also we saw Uncle return.
Yes.
Man.
He's voiced by Gus. I didn't even realize that till Kelly mentioned later. And when I rewatched, I was like, I can Gus in that. I love the uncle. I think he's amazing. I'm glad we got to see him again. And like being Fee's uncle, it just I think that's really great too, seeing that bit of connection, and Fee with the faunus, because yes, she's a huntress, but she's also a faunus, and it seems to be like she's faunus probably from Mantle itself and the dust mines and the slums and everything. So I
it's
like
really cool
that
too.
too.
If you keep an eye on that scene in the background, you see Oscar waving to him.
I didn't even notice that to rewatch it later.
It's a really cute little detail when he walks up to Fiona and you see Oscar in the background going,
"Hi." Hi, Superman.
Yeah. But then obviously jump back to the Grim. We also them find the Treks, and they have the gravity grenade, and very nicely take that down.
Yeah.
Then we see the more sabers coming in,
Yep.
And again, Yang and the team being pulled all around
Yeah.
an Atlas, Mantle, sorry. And then the Sabers turn away.
Yeah, they run off. Something
And-
scared them off.
I love that because wow, I remember seeing that and just thinking, having like the exact same reaction the team did, and it was just like, oh,
yeah, there is Nightwalker. Yeah.
wait, what?
It really shows with this Grim, the Hound, that if he's feared by he's feared by the Grim and also feared by humanity, that leaves him sort of in the middle because he seems to have a very sort of, in a way, a sense of humanity, but not. Yeah. And it may really think that he is. It could be a number of things. He might have been a human who turned into a Grim, or could have been a Grim that's just been smart and evolved over the time. It could have been Salem might have done experiments on him, especially with the mutations. There's a lot of different things with him, and I really like the fact he's feared by the Grim, obviously, as we saw, but also, of course, being Grim, he's also feared by humanity. He's sort of in the middle, and yeah, this Grim changes everything.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's something else since Volume 2.
Yeah,
you could kind of like theorize this eventually becoming a thing.
How unnatural is the Grim that other Grim flee? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and speaking of unnatural, like there was something very like the music was almost very un-RWBY like when this.
It was from the trailer. Some of it too. I noticed some of the sort of like where it really sort of amped up a bit was from the trailer in a way. Some of it.
Like I just loved how different it felt in every aspect. The music, the visuals, like how the Grim looked. Like even like how it was like its body was made up, would just look different to the regular Grim.
And a lot of people said like, why didn't John, Yang, and Ren attack?
This is a big point.
And this is very similar to remember back in Volume 5 when Yang and Weiss have the chat with Raven, and Raven showed her being able to turn into a raven, and how shocked that was. Like, it's not semblance because they know what her semblance is. It's magic. And that was really like, oh, there's shock and surprise. And everyone's like, you got auras, you got semblances, but this is magic. So this came into it. This is not.
I didn't really think about that. Like, the idea of like transfiguration being this like taboo thing in Remnant, maybe.
Yeah, well, I think it's more the fact that this Grim is not like any Grim that's seen before.
Yeah.
The fact that it was able to mutate itself at will, not just, I know the Knuckleaf did in a way, but that was partway through a fight. This one more,
but again,
it chose to do it.
They also weren't attacking it during then either. They also weren't attacking it.
I think it's just the fact, the shock of seeing this thing. Also seeing it attack Oscar and knock Oscar down, and then it was protecting Oscar from them, as well as using Oscar as a human shield. Like, even John was saying, this isn't right. That the Grim are not this smart, but this one was. And of course, the fact it spoke as well.
Yeah,
it's just...
I'm glad you mentioned that as much as you did, because again, it's a very it is the criticism of the episode for sure.
Oh, Nightwalker said morse into other Grims absorb, possibly, but it could be the Grim part or its own creature. I think it's just it's able to mutate at will, whereas other Grim either they do it over time or during the middle of a fight. Not at will. It doesn't seem to be something will to do.
It's interesting because again, this goes into like all the theories about it.
See the thing she's made. That's also good point. Nightwalker. Yes.
Yeah.
This could be maybe Salem, experimenting on this Grim, possibly.
Yeah. So I guess rather than going into all the theories, because you pretty much covered most.
Yeah, there's a lot.
My personal thought on it is that I think it's more of like a literal pet project. Like, that's my theory of it. I
just had the thought that leads into that was, what if this was one of the first Grim that Salem befriends after falling in the Grim portal all those years ago, thousands of years.
This is literally her pet. This is her pet dog. This is literally the Grim that she's had for the longest time. She's morphed it. And again, the fact that it's wrinkly, it literally can't hold itself together.
It's rippling and
like as if it's like old in a sense. I think this is Salem's like I said, literal pet dog thing that she's had for the longest time. and it's just warped, it's changed, it's transformed so many times over the years that again, like, its body is all falling apart and stuff. I don't think it can mutate on will. I don't personally subscribe to that.
I think I don't know.
I think it's more like a wolf transforming to a werewolf that also has a winged form.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see it transform to anything other than those three things.
Well, I think
then maybe it can completely warp and change its form at will. I don't believe so, but I can definitely see, because it's like a puddle of Grim itself, that it could literally spawn itself anything. And,
maybe.
And with the wings sprouting out, I get where that idea comes from. But just the wolf to the werewolf form, to me, felt more like a werewolf, like a lycanthrope, rather than a completely, like, a ditto transforming into anything.
Yeah. Well, I think too, there's that. I felt like it sort of was mutating with its needs. So first it was like in a hound dog sort of form because it was tracking. When it found Oscar and needed to fight the others and it needed to be able to move and carry Oscar, that's when it turned more humanoid, almost Beowulf humanoid-like. And then, of course, with the wings, because it needed to fly. So, yeah, it could be either will or need, but it was in a lot of pain while it was doing it too. Yeah, as you could tell, it hurt it to mutate.
Yeah, I mean, it was voiced by Jason, voice star, who did the voice FX for it. So it wasn't Hazel, who usually does the voices for the Grim.
I was trying to remember who it was who normally does the Grim voices. Yeah, it's Hazel's voice actor.
It's really interesting because, like, it's like when it sounds like even without the it's speaking.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a person. It does.
Yeah.
It's just the way it's struggling. But I can also, rather than not being, I can also imagine it's a Grim that's that old. It's just learned how to speak, and it's learned to be more human. Before
it spoke, you could hear bones cracking. It actually has it in the subtitles if you watch with the subtitles on. Bones crack before it talked. So it was mutating its throat, creating itself a voice box so it could talk as well. So it doesn't look like it could probably talk all the time. It had to mutate itself to be able to talk. And again, it was almost a need thing because he was trying to protect Oscar because he's been charged. He actually hugged Oscar close to him and was like, no.
I guess I just don't think it's like a ditto. I just don't think it can transform into anything.
I don't think it could transform into everything. I feel like it can mutate.
It has to keep its wolf-like.
Yeah. I feel like it can mutate its limbs and its body to help its needs. So not necessarily change it completely, but yeah, in this case, it changed its body so it could walk on two legs, and then it changed its body again so it could fly. So I feel like it probably, like, if it needed to swim, it might make itself a tail so it could swim if it needed to. I feel like, it won't lose its completely wolf face and aspect, but he can mutate his body to suit his need.
I guess I'm somewhere in the middle of that. I guess I'm somewhere in the middle of that, I guess.
That's possible, Nightwalker, maybe, but I still feel like they would have hesitated because, again, this is something that's so alien to them that really just shook them to their core, and that's why they hesitated.
Like you said, they didn't know what. Like, again, the best part about the Grim is that they're predictable.
Yeah, always predictable.
What they're going to do. You know how to fight them. Whereas this thing, it's like well, what if we accidentally hit Oscar? You know, what if we, and it's like, and I love it, especially
to change their way of thinking.
In a town form, the way it was attacking, and like it was terrifying to watch.
Yeah.
Oscar be put in that position, and I guess to some people it's like, well, shouldn't all Grim act like that? And to a degree, I suppose that's fair. All Grim should be that ferocious. They're not.
They're
really
ferocious, but they don't have the intellect behind it. Whereas the Hound did. The Hound knew by holding Oscar's body that his friends wouldn't want to attack because then they could hurt Oscar. Whereas a Grim normally wouldn't be able to comprehend that because it doesn't understand humanity. Whereas this Grim seemed to understand humanity in a way, rather than just being old like some of the Elephant Grim, for example. This Grim seemed to understand how humanity worked and use that to his advantage.
Yeah, and sure, Nightwalker, the other team might have fared better, but at the same time, it clearly was stalking them to the point where it would probably know. It's probably smart enough to react to those things.
Yeah, RWBY
is definitely a good point, but again, it would probably be smart enough to know not to attack Oscar until RWBY wasn't there, kind of thing. Like,
that's true. It's been following him for a while, but it looks of it. So since Salem gave the order, so waiting till the opportune moment. I think, like, too, with Ruby Silver Eyes, she still can't completely control it yet. Maybe she might have reacted when saw Oscar taken, possibly. But yeah, hindsight, exactly. Yeah.
And again, I'm sure this is just another thing that Ren's going to blame himself for.
This Grim could also be
John
really
as well.
humanoid to the fact it might not affect the him as much as other Grim. We don't know yet. That's also a possibility.
And again, like depending on the Silver Eyes, like the Silver Eyes isn't always in the out. Sometimes it can just blind them. Sometimes it can just flashbang them. Sometimes it doesn't always disintegrate them.
We don't know what effect it would have had.
Or if it does turn to stone, that doesn't, like the Leviathan doesn't always hold.
No.
And again, Ruby, while she used the Silver Eyes to get Cinder, again,
that was reaction.
And also her, Cinder wasn't that hurt by it.
No.
It just scared her off. But
it did.
Ruby is still struggling with, the idea of the corrupted memory she has now of Summer. Salem ruined that mind state for her.
Yep.
She can't tap into that.
That's might be what she struggled already, like during Mantle.
Which again, this was confirmed by the what's the storyboard team?
Right.
They confirmed in a little. They did like a storyboard video where they confirmed that in that moment, the whole point of showing Summer in that scene was to literally Salem had ruined that memory.
Yeah.
So Ruby cannot use that memory now to get to cast the Silver Eyes.
Right. Yeah.
She needs to find something else. And again, she has lots of memories to do.
And she does.
Like the Penny stuff and other stuff like that. But that
Emperial
particular scene of Summer on the cliffside, which inspired her Silver Eyes in Volume 6, she can't tap into that anymore.
No.
Salem ruined that for her.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't heard of that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see, like, again, we still have Yang's reaction.
Yep.
Her eyes.
The eyes, yep.
The tundra of them out in the bikes. We have Vine attacking. We have the Aesops.
The standoff with the Aesops, yep.
Team in the military base. We've got Nuts and Dolts hug.
Yep. Still got a fair bit.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
We could see this episode or the next. Because we know they got the 4 episodes before the season started.
Yeah.
So
I think in this next episode we're going to focus a lot on Ruby's team, I think. Infiltrating the military base. As well as maybe a little bit with chasing Oscar, though we also might get actually Oscar arriving to Salem, maybe.
I think we might see a bit of Cinder. We've got some of Nora's scenes as well. We saw in the trailer that we haven't seen yet.
Yep. We might do the jailbreak next episode.
Absorbing electricity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because we've seen we've seemingly seen the Aesops and Team RWBY or Team Rainbow. In a similar scene. The backgrounds are a bit different, but they could be in the same place.
Yeah.
And we have seen Vine attack with his weapon.
Yang's team will maybe been a better infiltrations. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look, there's been a lot of discussion over what team is right, what team is wrong, who should have gone where, who should have gone right. Does their motivations match previous motivations? Look, at the end of the day,
to me,
they're doing what they're doing.
It was what the characters wanted to do, not necessarily who would have been suited better for what team. It's more what they wanted to do. So even though May joining Ruby's team makes a lot of sense to help infiltrate, but it was the guys' sort of choice which way they wanted to go, not necessarily which one would have been better suited. Because Ruby with the Grimm, absolutely, she's more suited to fighting Grimm than fighting people. But
it was more about where they emotionally and morally wanted to go.
They were
tactically. But even then, there have been discussions to where wouldn't Yang want to confront Ironwood and kind of get that done from last volume? Wouldn't Ren want to?
Exactly. They wouldn't.
There's a lot of
again,
discussion. And that's fair. Nightwalker. In hindsight, it does seem a little ironic where certain characters are. And again, I'm sure they'll blame themselves for that.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get some sort of blame in that regard. So the Hound was something. One of the other the two main theories I've seen.
Yep.
Or I guess there's is there 4 or 3? I'll say 3. There's 3. Okay, sorry, 4. There are 4 possibilities when it comes to the human element of the Grimm. That some people think there is. I'll probably go from least likely to most likely here. One likely is Pyrrha. Grim Pyrrha has been that's been the longest time.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's just a crack theory.
The matter is, Pyrrha's body was disintegrated.
Yeah.
That was done intentionally to where this thing shouldn't even be an idea.
That it is.
the third most possibility, and I think has some level of merit, is Adam. His body being repurposed into this Grimm.
Yeah.
Now, Adam is someone that Salem knows about and knows that he's skilled.
Yep.
With. Obviously we had the Hounds coming. When the Hound did appear, it was around Yang, so that's something, possible story thread to connect on, and stuff. Now, again, I don't believe this is a thing, but I'm just thinking that it's like, okay, yeah. The second most likely, which I think is a really good one that I'd actually love for it to be true, is Lionheart.
Oh yeah.
This to be Lionheart, because one, it'd bring him back into the story in a sense, because he probably should have been a more important character than what he ended up being.
Yeah. Being
one of Osborn's lieutenants, stuff like that. We only got him for one volume and stuff, and obviously Salem would know where his body was because Salem killed him. And just to take him, take him and repurpose what's left of him.
That's an interesting thought. I could definitely see that more viable than Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously the main one is...
And a bit of time has passed as well since that happened too. Yeah.
The main idea is Summer.
Yeah, I did have a thought of Summer, but I don't think so. But
I don't think so, but I understand, again, why are the Grimm scared of this Grimm? Well, if it was created off a silver-eyed warrior, that might be some inherent...
Yeah. I don't think a silver-eyed warrior will be able to be corrupted into a Grimm, but...
But if it can... Also, well... The Grimm doesn't have eyes.
No, it could be blind.
Well, no, but it seemingly doesn't have eyes at all.
Its
design, its makeup, it doesn't seem to have any ideas, period.
Yeah.
So the idea maybe it's Silver-Eyed Warrior whose eyes have been taken out, then got corrupted into a Grimm, but it still has that kind of intimidation sense towards other Grimm because it was a Silver-Eyed Warrior or something. Again, I'm just explaining what people have been speaking about.
Yeah.
Obviously, that might explain Yang's reaction. Maybe it prove something that someone Yang would react. That is an appropriate reaction Yang would have.
Yeah. I'm still leaning towards my thought with it being one of the first Grimm that Salem befriended.
I personally
and has mutated and experimented on it.
I think it's just a really, really old Grimm that Salem is just messed with for hundreds of years, if not more.
Yeah.
And again, also another point too that I always keep forgetting: it was locked away.
Yeah. It
had to be ripped out of this pod. It was in something.
I think that might have been the doorway. Maybe we still haven't really seen the doorways or portals, but it did seem to be away somewhere.
I think just at the angle and how big it looked like more like a pod, like it was coming out of hibernation or something.
Yeah,
which would make sense. It was again her old dog.
Yeah,
and it is called the Hound as well.
Yeah.
Which I think kind of fits into that idea.
Yeah, it might not have any human in it. It could just be very old. It seemed to understand humanity, but that could, of course, been just over time. It's great.
I am on the bandwagon of it not being any sort of human at all.
Yeah.
But I like the idea enough to just express it to you guys and see what you guys think.
Yeah.
So yeah, next episode. Who knows at this point? Who knows what's going to be? But until then.
Yes, I think we're about done with discussing the episode. We've gone over the hour mark as well, but I think we're good. I think we discussed everything. Any other thoughts or questions?
Yeah, if anyone has anything, please feel free to let us know. Whether you're watching on Twitch Live, the Twitch VOD, or on YouTube, thank you very much for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Love discussing this between ourselves, and we love when you guys can get involved. Of course, we'll be back here next week. Same time, 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time.
Yep, AEDT.
If you're watching this live, the RWBY episode will be out a little over 12 hours from now. 13 hours from now. Don't know the episode title yet. Larissa's reaction will be out for episode 2. Will be out at that same time. So
it will be.
That.
Yeah. I still need to do the thumbnail.
I'll be posting RWBY spoilered artwork 3 times a week. As you've seen.
Will Yang team get captured by Salem? I don't think they'll get captured by Salem, but maybe they might try and infiltrate the whale to get Oscar back. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not too sure where their story leads because I think Oscar get captured. Which, by the way, Salem in the intro with her wings was a great foreshadowing of the Hound, about showing the Hound.
Yeah,
it's the same wings they put on the model. Because I would have thought personally, Salem can have wings. That'd be cool.
Yeah, but she could.
It was
symbolic. Yeah.
That probably makes more sense. But still, Salem wings is cool. I wouldn't mind that.
I just thought too, with in the trailer we saw the shot of them on the bikes going over the tundra, and Oscar was there, but it could be that maybe they're chasing Oscar.
I don't think it was.
I thought I saw him on the bike, but they may have added him in there just, you know.
I mean, they could have. I mean, again, like because we saw the groom in the background. And obviously, we couldn't tell it was the hound, then because it might have been something else. Like they could have added Oscar in and changed the model out for something else.
Yeah,
for the sake of the trailer. I don't know.
They can definitely. They've done that in the past. But yeah,
I am really curious where this is going because obviously, Ruby's going to the military and probably going to confront Ironwood and also get Crow and Robin out.
The Aesops.
But then, but then they're going to confront the Aesops. Are we going to see a rematch? Maybe Aesops win.
So that's very predictable what's going to happen there, but we really don't know what the Yang team is going to be doing.
Because I doubt they're going to get anywhere near the whale. And also, like, the villains. Like, I'm not sure what the villains will actually play.
Yeah, what's their plans as well?
In terms of, like, I imagine them this season being a lot of sitting around and waiting. Like, so I'm curious what the villains are going to be actively doing. Because, like, Tyrion and Watts did all their stuff last volume.
Yeah, that's possible too, Nightwalker. I definitely see some divide between the villains too, especially with Cinder, Emerald, Neo, and Mercury too.
Yeah. A lot of people also pointed out too that Mercury appears last before Salem in the intro.
Yeah.
So maybe that's symbolic of Mercury's place amongst the group. Maybe he's kind of gained far more favor.
Yeah.
His time away. Which will be interesting to see because obviously we haven't seen a lot of that, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. If it's anything, could mean nothing, of course, but
yeah,
I have to see. But I think that is it.
Yep.
For us, I am tired and thirsty. But thank you all very much for
Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Remember.
Oh, praise the Greys, great one.
White Fu and Pocket Penny, and all that, and we will see you. Next week.
Yes, we will.
Thank you very much for joining.
Yay! And if you're watching on the stream, stick around because I'll go host the Boopcast because that's live now. And of course, if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you do check out the Boopcast. It is on She Noob's Twitch. All the episodes will be on there. My bet for the finale, I will kills the whale with Atlas just to slow it down. Possible. Yeah, there's a lot of different possibilities out there. Maybe we'll get some more sort of answers in the next episode of where things might be heading. But yes, thank you all for watching. Thank you guys so much. And yeah, we'll see you all next time. Bye. Thank you, Nightwalker. Thank you. Bye.